देख बिना break.
Download Tak app.
Welcome VVS Laxman to Inspiration.
Thanks,
Thank you
Bhuja.
very much.
Thank you.
You know, if I actually think about Test cricket, 2001, I mean, I have to start with 2001. 128 for 8, and I was actually walking home from Eden Gardens. And each of us were like, tomorrow should we even come? Australia is winning its 16th Test match. India is over, 3.5 days in Mumbai. Something happened. You were batting like a genius, and that 59, before the 281, that set the tone. Can you tell me, when you now look back, what you achieved and how you achieved, and does it still feel real? Because Saurav calls it the miracle Test match, attributes it to God. But you've got to attribute it to VVS Laxman and Rahul Dravid.
Yeah, definitely. I played a big role in that. Rahul was fantastic. The bowlers were excellent. But I was confident to see through that tough period, because just 1 month before that, I had a wonderful Dilip Trophy when me and Rahul again had a 300-run partnership against West Zone at Surat, where I got a double 100, Rahul got a big 100, and the year leading to the 2000-2001 international season, I was the highest run getter in domestic cricket, where I got 353 against Karnataka in the semi-finals. So I had the confidence that I can play long periods of time. The only challenge was not to feel the pressure based on the situation we were in, because 274 runs behind against a very, very formidable and tough Australian team and Australian bowling attack. So that's something which when I look back and think about the Test match, I was quite happy with the way I approached my innings. You know, just like the way I would play for Hyderabad or South Zone in a domestic first-class match, I approached that innings with the same mindset, and that's why I and the team ultimately got the same desired result.
Can you tell me how the thing transpired from batting at 6 to batting at 3, and what transpired when you went in after the first innings?
Yeah, so it came very natural to me. Number 6 never came natural to me, opening never came natural to me, but number 3 was something which came very natural to me, because right from the age of 13, when I first played for Hyderabad at under 13 level, I always batted at number 3. So something which you have done right from your younger days, you know how to build an innings, you know how to pace your innings, you know, and what are the aspects of batting which you have to be careful about, which you have to think about, you know. So I think I just went out. I still remember very vividly. I came into the changing room. I was the last batsman out, and I was just about to open my pads, you know, remove my pads, and suddenly John comes, taps my shoulder, and tells, "Lax, don't remove the pads." I told, "Why, John?" You know, with a surprised look on my face, and he tells, "You're going to bat number 3." So I was very delighted because I didn't have too much of time to react to that decision, because we were following on, and Ramesh and SS Das almost went into the ground, because there's only a 10 minutes break between 2 innings, and immediately got ready, went out and sat on that corridor watching Ramesh and Dasi open the innings. But I was really delighted, because and inwardly I was feeling that confidence. Yeah, this is the moment for me, because not very often I was batting at number 3, and I just came back into the Indian team telling to the selectors, telling to the world that I'm not going to open anymore, which was probably one of the toughest decisions in my cricketing career. And I was just looking forward to that opportunity. And I still remember sitting on that corridor, I was thinking, just in the morning I got a brilliant half century where I was eating boundaries when Steve Waugh had all the fielders on the boundary line, but still I was able to pierce the gap. Now I cannot get carried away. I cannot get carried away. I have to again start from naught. I cannot start or resume the innings from 59. And as it turned around, Ramesh and Dasi gave us a very good foundation. And then it just eased the situation a bit, you know. And when I went out, I just played my natural game. And the best part about that start was I was reacting to the ball which was coming towards me. I was not premeditated in the way I was going to approach my innings. I was just reacting to the ball, and that became sort of a norm for the next 1.5 days.
But you know, I mean, with 3 down for 110, Sachin gets out, edge, Saurav gets out 4 for 232. We were still behind. I mean, it was just when that wicket falls and Australia will close in. Talk to me about that partnership. What was the talk in the middle? Take us backstage for once. Yes, you have written about it in your book, but just tell me, I mean, you know, 5 over periods, the body, batting for the whole day, both of you were on drips at the end of the day. I mean, perhaps if you ever, I mean, whatever time you write the history of Test match cricket, that match will be labelled as one of the greatest. So, and you being the central character of that movie, tell me about that fourth day, 335 runs and no wicket.
So Rahul joined me on the third day evening, and with Rahul I completed my century, and then the fourth day morning session was very crucial because the second new ball was available, and Australia also sensed that if we break this partnership or if we get Rahul and Laxman out, then we are into the wicketkeeper and the tail enders, and we had a long tail in the test match. So the only chat me and Rahul had, you were talking about 5 overs, well we were talking about 1 over. So every over, at the end of the over we used to go and give that fist pump and then tell, okay Rahul, 1 more over, or he would tell Lax, 1 more over, and then we go about playing our natural games. And other good thing was we never ever curbed others' natural instincts, or others' game plan. So Rahul had his own method of scoring runs, I had my own method of scoring runs, and both of us were executing our method. But at the end of the over, come on, 1 more over. So all we were breaking it down was, while the bigger picture was not to bat the whole day, the bigger picture was to see through the team and sail through this team from a tough situation we were in. But we broke down that target we had, or the bigger goal we had, into smaller goals, and that's something which was a great learning for both me and Rahul. Is when you have smaller goals, when you have goals which you can achieve, and the goals as a batsman which we can achieve is giving full merit and focusing totally on the ball you're facing, and then making sure that that is the most important ball of that innings. That's something which is in our control.
See, you've mentioned the word learning twice. I mean, that's what I want to sort of emphasize on. Intense concentration. I mean, and it's a 1-ball game. You are batting for 7 hours. How do you, can you tell me about your mind? Do you only switch off again when the bowler is going to his run-up? How can one person concentrate for such a long period of time at such intensity?
Yeah, it's very difficult to concentrate, and that's when very early a lot of us as batsmen learn the switch on and switch off mechanism. So you can't switch off while you're facing the bowler during the over, but you can little switch off at the non-striker end. But I think the peak concentration is only when the bowler is just about to load. A lot of batsmen do a mistake where they start concentrating on the bowler, concentrating on watching the wrist of the bowler from where you pick up the cues from the time he starts his run up. But then by the time he's about to release the ball, you lose that peak concentration. So I've learned, of course, through experience, that the peak concentration is supposed to happen when the bowler is about to release the ball. So you start preparing to achieve that peak concentration when the bowler is probably 2 or 3 steps before he loads and he releases the ball. And then I think when you bat for long periods of time and you got that experience of how to pace your innings, how to build your innings, it becomes a habit. It became almost like a second nature, and that's when I told that the previous year was very important for me, because I knew how to play session by session, how to break the entire innings into smaller goals. And for us, I think probably my generation of batsmen will be the last generation of batsmen who never saw the scoreboard. We used to play for time. I mean, I grew up when my coaches used to tell, when my uncle used to tell, that don't ever look at the scoreboard. Don't even register what's your score. You have to just play for time, and the more amount of time you spend on the wicket, automatically, because you're a natural stroke player, runs will flow from your bat. But if you're thinking about runs, if you're thinking about the scoreboard, then sometimes even a ball which requires you to give respect, you try to play a shot which is a loose shot, which is probably not based on the delivery you're facing, it may not be an apt shot. So I think me and Rahul were very similar, that we played for time, and that was something which was very helpful on that day. But the toughest period for us was the post-tea session.
I was about to come to that when physically you are drained, and it was March 11th to 15th, which is hot in Kolkata. I mean, already the early summer starts to set in. So, you've batted the whole day, you've got to a 200-run mark. but physically the body starts to give way. When the body starts to rebel, how do you keep control of the mind and the body? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, and all the more in that test match, because as everyone is aware that I came into the test match with back spasm. I was in fact not going to play the test match, but because of the hard work put in by our physio Andrew Lepers, he made me at least 60 or 70% fit to take the field. And Rahul was struggling with viral fever, plus Rahul always had a bad tendency of cramping. He used to lose a lot of fluids. And it was hot and humid in Kolkata during that period in March. So I think when physically it becomes challenging, I think your mental toughness comes to the fore, and there are various ways to motivate yourself. For me, the easiest way for me is that you're representing your country. You're representing so many people who love this sport, who are your well-wishers, who are looking forward to you. For you to do well and the team to do well. And also I get a lot of inspiration by thinking about the our services, the army jawans, who actually sacrifice so much to safeguard our border. They don't think about their health, they don't think about the physical pain they go through. So there are various ways to get inspiration. For me, it's more about representing the country, and also it's about thinking about the jawans who endured the pain. And then it also depends on your partner, how your partner helps you in that moment. Tactically, if someone is feeling that physical exhaustion or pain, they may be the biggest and the first and foremost thing which get affected is your mindset. You lose your concentration, you lose your focus, and that's when the partner becomes very important. That, okay, I will take more strike now. You just go and just relax. Relax doesn't mean that you're sitting down at the non-striker end, but it's not necessary for you to phase the deliveries, and it's just a passing phase. And again, you sort of regain your your breath, your composure, and then you can again start focusing. So that understanding and communication was there between me and Rahul.
Finally, this one before I move on to other questions, what was the celebration like? When did you think you all will win? Saurav says just about tea time when you got Steve Waugh out. That's when we started thinking. And when you won that match, and you transformed cricket. Next match again you batted like a champion, and that series sort of changed. What was the celebration like itself?
Yeah, I think in fact, even at tea, I didn't feel that we would win. It would be a draw. Because still we required more wickets to get, and Australia had depth in their batting lineup. But luckily, Sachin came and bowled that magic spell, got 3 wickets. Bcci then continued to dominate, and then we won. And it was, 12th mandatory over when McGrath was LBW. So I think it was a great feeling. The celebration was very subdued, according to me. Because while we were all very excited, very happy with the result, so we celebrated on the ground. We went back into the changing room. Yeah, we opened a champagne as usual. Sachin was the one who opened the champagne, and then we had to take a flight to Chennai. I'm not sure why we were booked to take the flight on the same evening. In fact, we checked out at our hotels and our baggage were there at the ground, and from the ground we went to the airport. But the celebration was very subdued. But one thing which I will fondly remember is once we entered into that Air India flight, the entire team just walked into the aircraft. The entire aircraft, all the people, all the passengers in that aircraft stood up and gave us a standing ovation. And that for me was just unbelievable. It's not only we who were, as an Indian cricket team who were happy with the result, but the entire country was celebrating that win. And that's something great about the sport. I always feel that we are always so blessed to have such wonderful fans who are our well-wishers.
VVS, you've achieved so much. Starting with that Sydney 167, then Kolkata, and the way you batted thereafter. And you repeated it again in Australia 2003-04, the 300-run partnership, double hundreds, hundreds. But thereafter, that whole 2005-06 period under Greg, how do you deal with failure? When you've achieved so much, somebody doesn't respect you, don't get along with the coach, something goes wrong. Because I really need to understand on inspiration, how does a champion deal with failure? Because the youngsters who are watching this show, not always will they get runs, or will they get wickets, or will they field well, or even if someone's following another sport, he or she will be on a low. How does VVS Laxman deal with a low and come back again?
I think, as I told before, my biggest motivation and inspiration was to represent the country. I still remember in 2003 when I was not picked for the World Cup in South Africa, I almost gave up the game. And I went and spent close to 2 months with my friends in US, all my classmates from school who didn't follow the game so much, who are doctors or engineers there. And suddenly, I felt that I was missing something, and that was hitting the cricket ball, the love for the game. And then you put the game in the right perspective, saying that you didn't start playing this game to play test match cricket or to play one day cricket to represent your country. You started playing this game because you love that sport. So I think whenever I had a failure, whenever I had a setback, like every sports person has a lot of setbacks. I mean, that's the nature of the sport, you know, because one day you win, the other day you may lose, one day you perform, the other day you may not perform. But as long as you love that sport, as long as you're passionate about what you're doing, you get up the next day and you continue to enjoy the sport, you know. And when I talk about enjoyment, enjoyment doesn't only come when you perform. Enjoyment comes when you bounce back strongly, and that is a real test of your character. And for that to happen, you have to prepare really well. So I think preparation is the key. If you start altering your preparation based on your results on the field, then you will be found out. So for me, whether I scored 100 or whether I scored a 0, or I didn't get enough runs for my team, my preparation was the same. My approach towards the game was the same. So I was also very equanimous because of the upbringing I had. So other important aspect when you're going through a setback, you have to have a very good support system. And luckily for me, I had a wonderful support system in the form of my parents, in the form of my uncle, who was my mentor, in the form of my coaches. Then once I got married, it was in the form of Sailaja, my wife. So that support system is very important, not only when you're going through a setback, it's also important when you're achieving a lot of success, because handling success sometimes is tougher than handling failure. So that support system is very important, and passion and love towards your profession and sport is very important.
Fantastic point. I mean, handling success is tougher. I'll come back to this one, but before that, it's said Sachin's God, Saurav is God on the offside, but VVS Laxman is the God of the fourth innings. I mean, that's the story of the world. I mean, whether it's with Ishant Sharma and winning in Mohali, whether it's in Durban, every possible Indian win, whether it's that Australia series, you've been stellar. Batting with the tail, batting with number 10 and scoring runs, taking that pressure. Talk to me about that mindset. I mean, hardly any batsman, and I've watched cricket for about 25-30 years, covered cricket, someone doing that with such panache, such how do I put it, consistency, I've not seen. Talk to me about you batting the fourth inning.
Yeah, that's something which I learned. That's something, because I told before that opening didn't come naturally to me. Neither did batting at number 6, especially number 6, because opening sometimes as a number 3 batsman you get to bat second ball of the match. Whereas number 6, I was not a power hitter. I couldn't effortlessly hit sixes, because as a number 6 batsman, the challenge is the moment a set batsman who is with you gets out, then there is a wicketkeeper batsman and probably number 7, and then followed by the bowlers. So the moment the bowlers come out to bat with you, the opposition captain goes into defensive mindset as far as I am concerned, and he attacks. He gives easy runs to me so that I can be at the non-striker end, and he bowls a lot of deliveries to the bowlers to get their wicket. Now the challenge at that time was how I can contribute to the team and how can I score for myself, because there have been times at the start of my innings as a number 6 batsman, I used to throw it away. I used to hit a couple of boundaries or try to hit a 6, which was not my forte, and then I threw away my wicket, and that was not doing any justice to my potential and my decision to bat in the middle order. And the way I address this, and I think I should give credit to John Wright for this, where I've convinced John Wright that I think, John, it's very important that we've got bowlers who take a lot of pride in their batting, whether it's Anil, whether it's Harbhajan, Ishant, Zahir, whoever, and we were very fortunate to have these kind of bowlers who took a lot of pride in their batting and in their cricket. And one thing for sure you get from the bowlers is they were all tough mentally, and they had a big heart, and they were ready for a fight. So John made it a point that each and every batsman in the team, the frontline batsman, would become the batting coach and a batting partner to one bowler. So for me it was Zahir Khan. So we had to make sure that after each and every net session, we had to give throwdowns to the bowler so that they can improve on this skill. They can improve on this skill. So working as a team, working as a family is again very important. And then I always used to have chats with them saying that they were very good, and you can talk as much as you can, but you have to translate that into action. And the only way you could translate that into action was when we were in midst of a competition, when the situation is tough, you have to give them strike. So initially I didn't give them strike, so I used to play 4 or 5 balls, and then last ball I used to rotate the strike. There were times when the captain wouldn't give me easy single, the opposition captain, and I used to throw it away. So when the challenges started coming by, especially against good bowling attacks, I used to give them strike, because I used to show them the belief and trust them in their abilities, and I used to tell to them saying that you're capable of batting, you're capable of scoring runs, and you worked hard in the nets to improve your skill. And as it turned out, the bowlers got runs, and that's when their confidence level improved, and we had some wonderful partnership. But at the same time, the communication is very important. I'll give you an instance. This was with RP Singh, the partnership we had at the WACA in Perth in 2007-8 Test series. There was Sean Tate, who was the quickest bowler in Australia.
That's a massive win. Just to set it up, India was down 2-0. Melbourne and Boxing Day and Sydney, that famous Monkey Gate Test match, lots of controversy. India goes to Perth. All of the things around Harbhajan Singh, VVS Laxman bats magically again in Sydney, gets 109, Sachin gets 150. Last day we lost towards the very end. Michael Clarke comes and gets those wickets for Australia. So the series was hot. So the match he's talking about, all of us, we were all part of the Indian team, as if we've become a family. And it was one of the most intense test matches in recent memory. Now you tell me.
And in the second innings, the match was still evenly poised, and suddenly there was a mini collapse and RP joined me. There was Sean Tate, who was the quickest in Australia at the time. Then there was Brett Lee, was top of his game at the time. Then there was Stuart Clark, Mitchell Johnson. So all 4 quicks. And then Andrew Simons and Michael Clarke were the spinners. So I asked RP as soon as he came in, RP, are you okay to face all the bowlers? RP told, I'm fine to face everyone except Brett Lee. So whenever the other bowlers were bowling, it was like a normal partnership between 2 frontline batsmen. We used to just, whenever there was runs on offer, we used to take that runs. But the moment Brett Lee came to bowl, I took the bulk of the strike, in fact took all the strike. So that communication is very important, and ultimately RP got 31 in that partnership of probably 60 or 70, and that partnership helped us to take ourselves to a respectable score, and eventually we won that test match. So it's very important to communicate and understand what your partner is thinking, and credit to these bowlers, credit to these bowlers. And I always feel that in a team environment, everyone is not the same. Everyone's strengths is different. Everyone's contribution to the team will be different. But it's very important to encourage each and everyone to improve the other aspects of their game, and that's what I try to do. And I benefited a lot with that, because majority of my runs came at number 6, not at number 3, or not as an opener.
Before I go into a break, talk to me about that game. I mean, one thing is, yes, you're batting with the tail, you've got tremendous success, but when you know 1 wicket and you are close to win that test match in Mohali with Ishant Sharma, and then beating Australia, best team in the world, becoming world number 1 team. India at that point, 2009 we'd become. Talk to me about that game, because that sort of is almost surreal, that one man can actually bat with the tail and win you a test match.
Yeah, in fact I was not even supposed to bat in that test match, because I had back spasm. I batted at number 10 in the first innings. I didn't take the field in the second innings, and we didn't have a big target to chase, and I thought the batting form we were displaying, and the depth in our batting, I'm sure that we would easily chase that down without me even going and batting. And suddenly there was a collapse on the 4th day evening, and I remember Gary Kirsten coming and telling that, Lax, you have to bat now, and I padded up. I was not even able to stand, because my back was like rock solid. It was like a rock, because of spasm it became so stiff. I was not able to move at all, and wherever I was sitting there was a lot of discomfort, and it was very painful. And at the end of the 4th day play, I went into the nets, batted just for 5-6 minutes, and I was feeling very uncomfortable. So all night I didn't sleep, thinking that how am I even going to walk to the crease and bat against a very formidable Australian bowling lineup. And then as it turned out, we lost wickets on the 5th day morning, and I went there. Ishant Sharma joins me, and the first thing I told to Ishant is, Ishant, let us delay the inevitable. Because when you are in a pressure situation, you have to be very realistic of the situation. You can't just, foo-foo the situation, and you can't just tell that, okay, we can win from this situation or we can save the test match. I think it's very important to accept the reality, and the reality was that we were going to lose this test. But one thing which both of us were very clear is we are going to delay the inevitable. The only way we can delay the inevitable is let them earn our wickets. We are not going to throw it away, and we were going to fight it out, and that's something which was in our control. And again, applying the same principle of giving strike to Ishant, and the only bowler he was not comfortable was Mitchell Johnson. The other bowlers he was very comfortable, including Bollinger, there was Ilfenaus, there was Nathan Orridge, and Ishant always had that ability to play good defensive shots. He had very good defensive technique, and the important learning from that is when you're under pressure, it's very important to absorb the pressure, because when you're under pressure, the first thing which gets affected is your mindset if you start panicking. But if you under pressure, you absorb the pressure, you're looking for solution. And the only way we were looking for solution was by delaying the inevitable. Suddenly you see that the pressure is shifting on Ricky Ponting and the Australian bowlers, and they were getting restless, and once they got restless in trying to get our wickets, they were giving a lot of loose deliveries, and we were just capitalizing on those loose deliveries, and suddenly there were a lot of boundaries which we scored, and the partnership suddenly went from 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40 to 50, and you could sense that Australia were little jittery. And I think it also happens when someone has done a similar kind of thing before, maybe that may play in their minds. Ricky may be thinking that, oh, VVS may again do something different, because it happened in Kolkata, it happened in Mumbai, it happened in Adelaide before. So I think maybe that was playing up in their minds, and in trying to get Ishant's wicket, they were also giving him loose deliveries, and Ishant was just capitalizing without even putting any effort in hitting those shots. But the toughest time was when Oja joined me, because I think there were still some 9 or 10 runs, and there was also a situation where I lost my cool because we came so close, and you had so much of such a wonderful opportunity to do something special for your country, and ultimately Oja held his nerve and we went on to win the test match. But the learnings from that test was like what we learned in Kolkata or Adelaide, was to never give up. Never give up. For every problem there is a solution. So identify that solution, communicate that solution with your partner, so that both of you are thinking on the same lines, and then you try to execute your plans, you try to achieve that solution till the pressure shifts from you to the opposition team.
What a solid masterclass it was about how to deal with failure, how to achieve success, and a lot of it. But now the private VVS Laxman, we're in Hyderabad, family, 11-year-old, 13-year-old children, wife. What is a day? What do you do? I mean, from morning till how is a day for VVS Laxman?
Yeah, I think it's very relaxed. I like being at home. I like spending time with my family, again because of a lot of travel, because of the job I do. I enjoy all these travels because I'm still involved with the game and I contribute to the game, and with something which I love. But once I'm at home, I like spending time with my kids. Whenever they go to school, so I drop them till the bus, and all the small pleasures of a father. Spend time with Shailaja, because I know for a fact that she had made a lot of sacrifices while I was actively playing the game. Even post retirement, the amount of travel which is involved, she's almost single-handedly is raising our kids. So I think it's important to spend as much time as possible.
So do you listen to music, go to movies?
Personally, for me, I love listening to music. I love reading books. Movies, I don't go to the theaters, but I watch at home with my family. And then I love playing sports. So with my son Sarvajit, I play badminton, I play table tennis, I play tennis. Then sometimes, in our backyard, we have a game of cricket. My daughter also joins in that game. And my daughter loves playing tennis. So just being physically active with them, it's also indirectly spending a lot of time with them while doing those activities. My daughter is very good in arts, so whenever she does painting, she does drawing, I help her, to color her painting, color her drawings, and then she learns dance. She's a Kuchipudi dancer, and then She loves classical singing. So whenever I come back home, she makes it a point that what all the new steps she's learning in her class, she has to show to me. So I think it's a very normal, relaxed life for me away from the sport at home.
You know, one thing about you that stands out for me is how grounded you are. You might be a superstar, you might be an icon, but you still have those values that we talk about, you know, middle class values in India. And that's something that defines VVS Laxman for me. You're still the boy next door, the man next door, someone who's approachable. Do the children, I mean, sort of really think their father is a superstar, or how is it at home that no, it's still very grounded? Talk about their upbringing and the values you want to inculcate among them.
Yeah, I think I'm just trying to do what my parents did to me. You know, I think the upbringing I had, the values they inculcated in me was exceptional. You know, and I think they always mentioned to me that people ultimately will love you not for your achievements, but how you treat them. You know, the kind of respect you give them. And you know, if you're not grounded, you know, if you're not grounded, then it will be very tough for you to make friends. It will be very tough for you to lead a normal life. You know, then there will be a lot of highs, a lot of lows, and you keep changing based on the turbulent time. So you have to be as equanimous as possible, and that's the same thing which I try to tell my kids. But more than me, you know, the biggest satisfaction for me, and I feel I'm blessed, is my wife, Shailaja. She's also come from the same upbringing. So her parents also had the same values inculcated in her, and a majority of the time it's Shailaja who takes care of, you know, giving and inculcating these values in my kids. You know, she's spiritual, she's very simple, because I always feel that when you're have so much of adulation from your fans, you're treated little differently when you go out. You know, the first and foremost person who gets affected is your spouse, and then comes the children. But luckily for me, my wife didn't get affected at all. You know, she is very, very simple and genuinely simple. It's not a put up, and that is something which is reflected in my kids. You know, she makes it a point that while my kids know that VVS Laxman, their father, is an international cricketer, of course they come to the stadium when Sunrisers play the matches, they travel with me, and they know the kind of love I get from my fans, well-wishers of Indian cricket and well-wishers of Laxman. But Shailaja also mentions the hard work I have done. You know, what are the elements or what are the things which got this success to me, and she focuses a lot on those aspects, and more than that, giving those messages to my kids, you know. And more than VVS Laxman the cricketer, she tells them to follow VVS Laxman the person, and that's a matter of you know, pride. Yeah, pride for me, where my spouse is telling them to follow in the footsteps of their dad, the person, you know, not the sports person. So and again, you know, the values continues to be inculcated by my parents, my father-in-law, whenever they come and spend time with my kids. But the challenge is, you know, and I feel sometimes bad for them, is whenever they go out, people will definitely watch them very closely. The scrutiny will be on them, and it's only not for me, you know, all the friends, yeah, for all the friends with whom I played the game of cricket, who represent the country, and for everyone, as you mentioned, you know, who achieve success in their life. It's going to be challenging for the kids. You know, how they handle will be very crucial, you know, and I feel that this is still the formative years. How they handle when they are 15, 16, 20, when they are trying to make their own careers, they are trying to achieve their dreams, you know, how they handle that pressure will be very interesting to see. But as long as they are also remembered for the person they are, I'll be very happy and satisfied.
Fantastic answer. I mean, and as I said, I mean, one of the having interacted with sports people all my life, I mean, the one thing that stands out about VVS Laxman is the man, the human being that he is. I mean, whenever you come across, whoever you come across, VVS remains special in that regard. What about food? Favorite? Do you cook? Do you sort of do something at home in terms of experimenting with food as a stress buster?
No, I'm not stressed. So there's no need for having that stress buster. No, I don't cook at home. I used to cook when I used to play in England.
So you know how to
cook? I know how to cook. You know, yeah, and very simple. You know, I'm a vegetarian, so you know, when I used to play in England in 1995 and 96, so I used to cook a standard, normal South Indian meal. But I enjoy food. I enjoy food and all the cuisines. Luckily, because of cricket, you travel around the world. You get to try out different cuisines. So I'm not only stuck to Indian food. I love all the cuisines. My favorite at the moment is Thai food. My kids also love that. My wife loves that. So whenever we go out, I think we have an opportunity to try out even the local cuisines. Yeah, and I think that's something which cricket gives you an opportunity. And because when you're traveling different places, it's also important to embrace that culture. And one of the important aspects of embracing that culture is the local cuisine there. So I try out as long as it's vegetarian, because I've always remained a vegetarian.
Sure. The other thing I want to talk about with VVS Laxman, all of us associate cricket. Now that comes naturally to him. He was always good. But he's now become a foremost commentator, much respected, much hailed. And he picked up Hindi, because that's something that tells you how deep the man goes. I mean, that tells you everything is achievable. It did not come naturally to you. You picked it up, and now you're one of the foremost English commentators, Hindi commentators. How did that happen? I mean, at this age, to put in such effort into learning a language, becoming very good at it, did you practice? Because loads of people will want to know that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's still work in progress. I can tell that it's still work in progress. I'm working hard to get better, and that's something which I learned through my playing days. Whatever you do, it should become your passion. Now commentary has become my passion. I'm lucky to be still continuing to be involved with the game, and I'm also thankful to Star Sports for giving me that opportunity. I remember the conversation I had with Star Sports, Sanjog of Star Sports, and he mentioned to me how important Hindi language is for the viewers, and that didn't come naturally to me. While in Hyderabad, grew up talking Hindi, but the Hyderabadi Hindi is totally different to what the viewers would like to listen when you're commentating, and it was tough for me. There were two options. Either I don't do that, or I continue to work hard, improve, and continue to do, because I wanted to be part of this medium, because it was a great medium where I can express my views and share the knowledge with the young viewers, and that's something which I try to do when I'm commentating. Whatever I learned through my cricketing days, I wanted to share that knowledge with the young viewers. So I really worked hard. I mean, people will be surprised that I've actually taken tuition. So my kids were going to this Hindi teacher, and I along with them went to that same Hindi teacher to learn. I mean, still it's work in progress, But one thing I'm again very proud of is like in my career, opening didn't come natural. That was out of my comfort zone. I took it up as a challenge. I tried my best. Number 6 didn't come naturally to me. It was out of my comfort zone. My game didn't suit to succeed at number 6, and I took it up as a challenge, and I'm very happy that I succeeded as a number 6 batsman. So I think once you're a cricketer, once you have a mindset of a sports person, I think that will rub off in any walk of life and in anything you do. And I think that attitude has rubbed off even after my retirement, because the easy option was to just sit back at home, do a lot of stuff which by default as a retired sports person you get a lot of opportunities, or the tougher option was work at something which you're not good at, improve, and feel satisfied when you achieve some success and some improvement. So I always wanted to do what is the right thing. The right thing was do something which is out of your comfort zone, and you'll be satisfied that you were able to achieve that aspect. It's still work in progress though.
It is. All our lives, I mean, we've got to strive for excellence. I mean, I have the same problem. I don't speak Hindi naturally, and I do the same. So, and I know how difficult it is at this age when he's a superstar in his own right. He does not need to, but that's the push. That's what we are trying to get here on Inspiration. That what one goes through. If he can do it, having achieved so much success, why can't you and I? Why can't the normal human being that you and I are, why can't we put in that extra yard? That's the takeaway for me as far as VVS Laxman is concerned. Coming to this Indian team and Indian cricket at the moment, I mean, all of us are celebrating the bowling attack. I mean, all of us are the one thing that is missing in this team's repertoire after 2013 is an ICC trophy. They have the World Test Championship, they have the 2020 World Cup, they have the 2021 World Cup. Do you see this team as a real strong contender now, given the bowling attack, given the batting lineup?
Yeah, I've always felt that this team is a wonderful team. Yeah, it's unfortunate. In fact, I was covering the 2019 World Cup in England, and I thought the way they dominated, barring the England game, I think throughout the World Cup, they were the favourites for me to go on to win the World Cup and lift the World Cup in Lords. But I just felt that that 1 hour session on that extra day, reserve day, unfortunately we lost that. But as far as this team is concerned, it's a very formidable team, and results, trophies will come their way. There's no doubt about that. It's very important to be patient. You just cannot get frustrated, because the worst thing someone can do is to get frustrated. This is a champion side, and they will win a lot more championships, the big championships, especially the ICC championship, because that's when the real satisfaction for any team will be, is when you win those big tournaments. But having said that, there's a lot of depth in this Indian team in all the 3 departments, whether it's the batting department, the fast bowling department, or the spin bowling department. They're probably the fittest Indian team I have seen. They're agile on the field. They've taken some unbelievable catches. Virat is leading by example, and I think there's a culture which has been created within this Indian team, the culture of to think like a champion, to behave like a champion, to prepare like a champion. And I always feel that those are the things which are in your control. How you think like a champion is in your control. How you prepare like a champion is in your control. And I think they don't take anything for granted. So when you do all the right things, when you tick all the boxes, ultimately the championships or the trophies will be definitely coming your way.
VVS, you've been one of the few who have had success overseas. I mean, be it Australia, be it South Africa, against real good bowling attacks. This team won in Australia in 2018. Now, New Zealand and Australia again. Do you think this team has it in them to win overseas consistently, given the bowling depth now? We've got Bumrah and Shami and Umesh and Ishant and Bhuvi. On the other hand, with spin, so it's a complete bowling attack. In fact, even if I go back to your team, at one point there was Kapil Paji, thereafter was Zach, there was Srinath. So one individual leading the bowling attack. But this one, I mean, you will think 20 times before giving a green top to India, because with this bowling attack, they can blow anyone away.
Yeah, and they've done that in the past also. So it was unfortunate that they were not able to win the series in South Africa, in England, because I felt that this Indian team was better than that South Africa team and that English team. When you're playing in overseas conditions, it's very important to win those crucial moments which actually decide the fate of the match, which decides the results of the match. Unfortunately, the Indian team were not able to win those crucial moments, but they got themselves into such formidable situation or position from where they could have won the match. But the way they came back after losing 2 matches in South Africa to win the match at Joburg on probably the
difficult wicket.
Yeah, the worst wicket probably you could get in overseas condition. Then the way they won in Nottingham, after losing the first 2 games, the way they played against Australia in Australia, yeah, people may think there was no Steve Smith, there was no David Warner, but beating Australia, any Australian team in their own backyard is not easy at all. The crowd is hostile, the media is hostile towards the visiting sides, and you have to be at your best. Australia still had a wonderful bowling attack. So I think full credit to them, the way they've gone and beaten Australia, the way they played. So even going forward, I feel that they will be a real threat, and they will be winning a lot more overseas tours. Starting with New Zealand, I'm backing India to beat New Zealand in New Zealand, because again, there's a lot of depth. Not only the bowling unit, there's now a lot of experience, class in that batting lineup. It's great to see Mayank Agarwal, turn out to be a wonderful opener, and the hunger with which he's batting, scoring hundreds, double hundreds. Rohit Sharma as an opener was fantastic against South Africa. Then there is Pujara, Virat, Ajinkya Rahane back in form. Number 6, there is Vihari, who has established himself in that position with 100 in West Indies. So I think there's a lot of depth and class in this Indian batting lineup. And as far as bowling, it's really exciting to see 4, if not 5 fast bowlers who can blow away the opposition batsmen on any surface. Even though we played on Indian wickets, I saw that fear in the batsmen of the opposition team, whether it's the South African side or the Bangladesh side, on placid Indian wickets. And all 3 of them, Ishant, Shami and Umesh, were intimidating. So it's great. And then your 2 quality spinners in Ashwin and Jadeja. So it's a very well balanced Indian team, and I'm very confident that they will win a lot more ICC trophies. They will win a lot more series overseas, because again, they prepare well, they work hard at their game.
I'm almost running out of time, VVS. My final one. You've been with Hyderabad Sunrisers for a while now. I mean, you've been part of the setup. You've been hands-on involved. Any plans of moving into or giving it a shot as India coach at some point in time in the future?
Not.
I mean, will you be interested somewhere down the line?
Coaching is something which is very close to me. You know, right through my cricketing career also, I always wanted to share my knowledge with the youngsters, and by default that comes to me because my grandfather was a teacher, my father is a teacher, even though he's a doctor, he's a teacher, and I think that's in our genes. You know, where we want to share our knowledge. It's been a phenomenal experience for me at Sunrisers. Even though as a mentor, I was able to share my knowledge with the team, and all of them were receptive, you know, and I'm glad that, you know, there's a very good healthy relationship between me and the players at the Sunrisers franchise. So I'm not sure about the Indian team coaching aspiration, but I just love coaching. You know, I just love coaching. Is all about sharing and feeling for the players, feeling for your trainees. In the case of professors, it's feeling for your students, you know, and always thinking about that well-being, and that came naturally to me, and I hope that I continue to share my knowledge with the youngsters.
Excellent. Last one. Saurav Ganguly, Bcci president. Rahul Dravid is mentoring the NCA, so the supply line is taken care of. He wants Sachin Tendulkar and VVS Laxman involved. I mean, this is great for Indian cricket. Saurav Ganguly, player of that stature, taking over the BCCI, will understand the requirements of first-class cricketers. That's something that we need to do. Change the first-class structure. People need to earn well for this game to be well. Even women's cricket, very important, because, you know, at some point in time gender equality has to be the goal. So Saurav is a step in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and I feel the reason Indian cricket is healthy, it's because of our first class structure, and we have to give a lot of importance, and we have to take care of the first class cricketers, because that is the supply line for the various Indian teams, you know, whether it's women's Indian team or the men's Indian team, you know, because ultimately if you're not looking after your first class cricketers, I think the quality of the international teams or the national teams will not be there. I'm seeing that in South Africa, I've seen that in other countries where suddenly they test the national cricket team quality has dropped very drastically. It's because their first class structure and system is not healthy. So that's something which I'm sure that Saurav as BCCI president will take care, and the strength of this Indian team or Indian cricket is the bench strength, you know, and it's unbelievable how more than 2,000 matches can be conducted, you know, and that's the real reason why Indian cricket is dominating world cricket, is our domestic cricket and our first class cricketers are taken care, can be taken care a lot more as far as the financial security is concerned, you know, because you don't want the first class cricketer to sacrifice everything, you know, because they sacrifice the peak time of their life dedicating to the sport, you know, which they love. So if you're not giving them the financial security, then somehow all those sacrifices will not be fructified. So it's very important to take care of the financial security of first class cricketers as well.
It's been an absolute, how do I put it, riveting 50 minutes with VVS Laxman. Think about this. Someone who has the ability to score 281 against an Australian lineup consisting of McGrath, Gillespie, Lee and Vaughan and Kasparowicz, and then is an icon of the very highest order, goes and learns Hindi with his children. Now that tells you what this man is made of. You want to model yourself on someone? Model yourself on VVS Laxman. You will never regret it, because the values you will learn as a human being. Forget VVS Laxman, the cricketer and the star and the icon. Be like VVS Laxman, the human being. Believe you me, you would have felt inspired. You're an absolute champion.
Thank you.
Remain the way you are.
Thank you.
Remain the way you are, and God bless to him, the family. May he achieve more success, more laurels, and be more happy. I did not say more famous, because he's already that, but more happy as a human being. Thanks for watching this episode of Inspiration.